I'm Alfred Webre, and I have the extraordinary privilege today to be with a very special guest, Donny Gilson, who we have a media relationship that goes back to a time where I think that the national security state was trying to prevent you from bringing a very important message that you're bringing out now, Donny, and we want to welcome you onto Exopolitics TV for this special update.
Well, thank you, Alfred. It's great to be back. I mean, it's been almost a little over a year since we did the last interview on the ET reptilian draconian exposure, brown dwarf, and second sun. And I tell you, things have really gotten quite interesting since then, and a lot of things have happened on my end. A lot of things have happened on your end. We've established some. Of course, we've done many shows on 32 degrees of insanity. I want to say 33 because that's what we're calling it now. But you know, it's great to be back with you.
Thank you, thank you. You know, I've noticed that this whole subject is now opening itself up to a whole new group of people who perhaps have only heard about this in kind of in the distance, and aren't perhaps as familiar as yourself and myself, perhaps others, with the ins and outs of it. And I know that we're dealing with a phenomenon, with a celestial body that has, what, over 100 archetypal names: Nibiru, Planet X, Hercolubus-Nibiru-Planet, the Destroyer.
This goes on.
I mean, it goes on. Could you describe for the viewing audience what exactly you have discovered about this system? You know, Planet X. Let's call it Hercolubus for purposes of this interview, but we'll just know that all of these other names are there, and in the article we'll put the other names so that people can kind of orient themselves.
Sure.
What have you discovered about it? What is it that they're talking about? And just assume that you're talking to somebody who really is just hearing about it for the first time now.
Well, you know, the one thing that I guess we can bring it all the way back to even the Bible. It speaks about it's Wormwood, or the Destroyer, and basically that star is supposed to bring on a ton of destruction. It has over the cycle of how long Earth has been alive. Some even say that it even helped part the Red Sea. Some people say that it showed up when the Exodus from Israel, Egypt to Israel, that all of that had showed up at that point in time. Basically, over the last 50 years or so, we have been talking about it as, because I believe that NASA itself has confirmed it for probably the last 50 years, as known as been out there, that we have a binary twin star to our solar system, and that star is making its way back through our inner solar system. Basically, some have speculated that this was a star or a large millions of years ago into the outer rims of the solar system, and now it's finally making, or the Milky Way. Now it's finally starting to make its round back. We're not sure. You know, there's so much information about this, and it's really hard to pin down if this is a real thing. But the interesting thing about it is most of the systems out in the universe would have some sort of binary twin. So it would make perfect sense that what would make our Milky Way galaxy any different than the other ones? What are they hiding? We know we have this thing called the Oort cloud, and we know we have a thing called the Kuiper belt, which is filled with asteroids, comets, or whatever you want to gases, whatever is in there, we came through there creating that area, because something would have had to smash into it or cause chaos. What I think now, and this might even bring back to, if you believe in philosophy, and Socrates and Plato. Plato talked about, Socrates talked about Atlantis. And Atlantis, I believe, sunk during the same time that this particular dwarf or sun or whatever it is, dark star, whatever you want to call it, came through here and caused chaos on Atlantis. Now, whether it was under intelligent control, if it was under the Anunnaki or whatever, a reptilian, we're not sure. My research is bringing me to the point now where I am thinking that this thing is of a comet-based type of star. It's actually moving. Either we're moving towards it or it's moving towards us. And I believe it could still be under intelligent control, because over the centuries or over the millennia or whatever, extraterrestrial type of technology has either put our planet under intelligent control or this thing under intelligent control, where I think now that when this thing swoops through, they're ready for it. And I don't believe it's going to cause the chaos that it once did.
Yeah, and in fact, we are seeing now evidence of large-scale ET UFOs, interdimensional UFOs, planet-size, that are around the sun. There was a video of a large-scale UFO putting rods into the sun.
Correct.
And so one hypothesis is that this is part of creating some sort of mechanism or shielding for any of the solar flares that could be created.
Well, also, if you're familiar with the Dyson spheres, that is another thought process that it's, the Earth itself could be interlocked within an invisible Dyson sphere, and we don't even know it. And so could the sun. As you were talking about, these rods are being put into the sun. If you think about it, because a lot of the videos that I have shown and a lot of people that are not familiar with what 32 Degrees of Insanity, we had a major YouTube channel in regards to all of my research over the last. That particular YouTube channel was targeted by not only government, shills, trolls, you name it, that didn't agree with anything that I had to say, and successfully were able to shut down my particular YouTube channel. Now, I've come back with backup channels. Each one, and I don't know if you've heard, Alfred, but last night, a user-supported YouTube channel, I came on last night, or 2 nights ago, put up a video in regards to this large spherical object that was actually shot on March 22nd, 2012, which is the date that I said we would see Hercolubus on my last interview, that was shot over Tennessee. I posted that video, and you can see the lightning in it. You can see it's some sort of anomaly. It looks like a large sun. And what I'm thinking is we've talked about chemtrails in the past. I believe that the chemtrails, that maybe that was an area, a window of where the chemtrails were able to not block it. So it was like this. Because the chemtrails, what they're causing right now is what I believe, when they're by the sun, are causing the blockout that we can't see it. But if we take away that area, it's like a portal that we can see in. Or a possibility is we're also seeing different dimensions. That's a possibility as well.
Could you define what a Dyson sphere is for those of us who aren't that
a Dyson sphere, probably the best way to describe it is an enclosed cage. And it's basically you take the Earth, okay, and basically what you do is it would cause like you would be able to move planets with it. You could move the sun with it. You could literally, if there was a Dyson sphere over the sun, they built it within the sun, they could literally drag the sun away like a tow truck.
I see.
And that's what I think is possible, that this system itself is under intelligent control as well. But everything that I'm looking at right now, I was all over the board on where this thing was. I mean, I would go, way to the south of the Milky Way galaxy, to the north, to, all kinds of different constellations, trying to find this thing. And now my gut feeling is where I thought it was all along, and it's right by the sun. It's either right behind the sun, or it is now the sun in our inner solar system right now. The Zetas talk about this. I know that they say it's, even Zeta talk, what's her name? The lady who...
Nancy Lieder.
Nancy Lieder. I'm a disinfo agent to Nancy Lieder. She believes, they believe I'm a total government shill.
I see.
The Zetas. They have posted on their newsletters, don't listen to anything that Donny Gilson has to say.
Well, of course, they believe that it was coming in 2003, and there was a whole...
Yeah, and now they've come out with this, this thing where I guess the newsletter is going to stop in November. That this thing's supposed to be here in November. I think, this is my opinion, I think we have a window, and we've talked about remote viewing in the past. No one can see past 2013. Another remote 2013. We've talked about these negative and positive timelines on my show with you and I. I believe our window of opportunity of this thing coming in is either between 2013 or 2025.
You mean in that time period? Yep,
that's the window. So here's the thing: Leo Zagami and I, Leo wrote a book called The Confessions of the Illuminati, and he did a 3-part series, and there's actually a chapter in the 2nd volume written just about me and my research on the planet, well, we called it Nibiru, until you and I exposed on my radio show in regards to Zecharia Sitchin being a CIA operative,
right.
And that Nibiru itself, the actual storyline that we've been fed, is a psyop and an actual hoax.
Yeah.
Anything about that is when you and I came out with that information, everybody ran with it. Donny Gilson's now saying Nibiru's a hoax, and he's been BSing to you the whole time. No, I've been telling you that this thing is called by many different names.
Right.
What we have been taught is Zecharia Sitchin told us about Nibiru. He did not talk about Hercolubus.
Yeah.
Now, there is another individual I think he's in South America, I forget his name, but he wrote a book called Hercolubus, the Red Planet.
Right. I've got that book here.
Yeah, and that actually has been, it's actually, that book that you're talking about has been an educational book throughout Europe, throughout Africa, throughout South America. Hasn't really made it into the mainstream here into the United States because I believe the American government does not want, they're going to lose control. If the American government comes out or NASA comes out and says, we have a brown dwarf coming and we don't know what it's going to do to the world, do you think anybody's going to listen to what they have to say anymore? No. It's not going to happen. There will be an all-out revolution.
Right. Now, as I was preparing for today's show, I was going through the various milestones that you've put out publicly that were really interesting. One of the first ones was an article on on May 28th, 2012, in which you have images, reported images of Planet X, Nibiru, Hercolubus-Nibiru-Planet, and these were taken from an airliner. And they also match up with a crop circle. Could you walk us through those particular images?
Sure.
I'm going to have them up on the article that accompanies this, so they'll be able to follow it.
Well, I was, as we know, I have an incredible, and I have to say, the research team that I have, the subscribers that I have to my channel, to my Facebook channel at www.facebook.com/Ursu Adams, we have an incredible amount of people that are looking all the time. And I was shot anonymously, interestingly enough, these two images. One was actually a photograph that was shot over Los Angeles. It looks like they were coming in the lower Sierras, coming into Los Angeles. And then also another shot that was from another commercial aircraft liner in Melbourne, Australia. And actually one came right after the other, if I remember correctly. And I posted on beforeitsnews.com an article in regards to this particular image. And basically what it shows is this light force. There's no way that it could have been a camera anomaly or anything to that nature, because the sun was nowhere around. So it could have been a lens flare or a reflection off the, and this is what they want to tell you it is, but it's not. So the image itself is, it shows like a very large object and then like several moons around it. In my research, identical, I called it the zigzag formation for these particular planets, and I kept finding this particular pattern. And I also found another pattern that's it's called the kite formation. A lot of my viewers will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the way the stars lined up around Hercolubus, or second sun, or whatever you want to call it. But the big thing is the actual image of these, both of them matched up. The Melbourne one and the Los Angeles one matched up. And interestingly enough, crop circle in, I think it was Webre, shows up, and it's identical to the zigzag formation that I'm talking about. And I shot this up. Marshall Masters got a hold of it. Marshall writes an article, and Marshall and I don't agree on some things, and that's fine. But he, sent a direct link, and what he thought was fascinating is how quickly the shills attacked my article.
Yeah.
How quickly he put something and he got some sort of response, and then kind of decoded the shill message in there. And it's a fascinating picture, and it's really up to the viewer to decide, is this a reflection of what is coming? And that's what I think it is. I think what we caught was, because you got to think about light. We're not, when we look at the sun, we're not seeing the sun as it sits right now. It's 8 minutes away. We're basically, when we look out, we see the sun, we're seeing what took place 8 minutes ago. Okay, we wouldn't even know if the sun died until 8 minutes later. The sun could die tomorrow, 8 minutes, we still wouldn't know. We'd have sunlight. So think about this thing traveling at 1,000,000 miles an hour, or whatever it's traveling at. We're going to catch the reflection. We're going to catch the light source. We're going to catch the physical object. That is why when we look at the sun and we see these weird lens flares, like we'll see, triangles and all these geometric things around that are catched by the actual phones, lens flares will always go in a direct line. Lens flares are not going to be all over the place. They look like little planets. What we're catching there is the light source from these things, and as they get closer, the more pronounced they become. And I just posted a video last week that I think you sent out to everybody of an image that I captured on Soho, or on stereo, and it looks like small to the sun. And I've been following this system from the very beginning, and I can see it's getting more and more pronounced. It's getting darker. So that means we're either catching up to this thing, and Nisam Hariam talks about how we're not a spiral solar system, but our solar system moves in a corkscrew going this way. So the sun itself, let's see if I can do this here. If this is the sun right here, the sun's moving forward like this, and all the planets are rotating like this, like a corkscrew. So we're moving like a traffic. We're moving forward. So if this thing is in front of us, we're catching up to it. Or if this thing's behind us, like a car, it's moving this way towards us and it's going to pass us. It's all speculation and theory, but the odd things, this is why I believe this is the right thing, is because of the artifacts that we have also uncovered. There's some, Nissan had showed about these Stargate things. The sun itself has been making these weird geometric patterns. After I showed that picture on Before It's News, not even a week or 2 weeks later, all of a sudden there was this huge, like, porthole triangle on the actual sun. And stereo, NASA, all shut it down. All those images were erased. We have them on my channel. We have saved them. They have not shut down the Facebook channel yet, thank gosh. And now a lot of my subscribers have told me that they have all of my work, which we're going to finally get back. Because we have, I think over the last year, we have caught a lot of wild images of this thing coming in. And I think I've also caught images dating all the way back to 1983 when the IRIS telescope went up. And it caught these images as well. And we've got WISE imagery. We've got all of this stuff. But the minute I come up with a video, it seems like I get attacked right away. And so I believe we are totally on to the truth.
Right. Now, where can people go who want to keep current with you? Where should people go?
Right now, the best place to go is www.facebook.com/Earth2Atoms. That's URSUADAMS. We have way too many friends to, we've got 3 different accounts, and we've got way too many friends to add to it. You can subscribe to us. And that gets you all that pertinent information. As I said, we're on our 3rd YouTube channel, and this is what I don't get. Okay, my first YouTube channels were shut down because I was fighting a lot of the trolls for copyright. They were using my material. I was fighting against it. They were saying I was filing false DMCAs, and so they finally won. They finally shut it down. But this new channel was actually created by a fellow user, my brother, and we uploaded a video to YouTube this week via his Android phone, and we live in the same complex, and I just kind of did the narrative to it, and we were playing some music behind it. It wasn't really a big video. It was just kind of a test, and subscribers literally hours of posting that, it got shut down. That channel got shut down. Not even my channel. But it had anything to do with me. So I'm like, what is this? And here's another thing. This is what I think, Alfred. This is I think, I don't know if you saw the Colbert Report with Andrew.
Yes.
But he was alive by Colbert. I mean, it was made fun of. It was sickening.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, this is what I think. Because whenever I mention you, whenever I mention Bazaga, whenever I mention Geo, Truth Frequency,
yeah,
I think it's we, us, this collective here
right,
that we've created, we're the ones that are coming out with the truth.
Right.
AFRs, the Revolution Radios, all of these other ones, I believe, government entity. Because somebody posted on my Facebook, said this, Donnie, pay attention. So if Drake, Terrell, Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, any of these, stick around, we know where that information is. If they're not being attacked, and they aren't, they're not being attacked. They're still able to be flown away with their stuff. We need to be. You need to pay attention to that. And I have. I mean, Carrie Cassidy has contacted me. I was going to go and do her show. Leo Zagami kind of told me, maybe you want to wait on that one because even Leo's been kind of screwed over a little bit. And I think we really need to be cautious now because now we're getting so close to the truth.
Right. On
who we buddied up to, and because it's going to come down to the point. I don't think we're going to see a Bill Cooper type situation anymore because we're too close to the truth. I don't think there'll be anybody disappearing, but you know how they're getting rid of people is these astronomers are disappearing too. I mean, all these astronomers that had anything to do with the search for a brown dwarf seem to be disappearing. The ALMA, I don't know if you're familiar with ALMA, but ALMA is a telescope. It specifically looking for black holes and other large celestial bodies in the universe. And interesting enough, their logo seems to be this kite formation that's also being shown down at Newmar Station. And Newmar Station is a whole other area that we need to talk about as well.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. And what are the findings there? What are you coming across there?
In Newmar Station, we came out with a video. We were right on top of it. A lot of MSNBC, ABC, all the main channels, interesting enough, the mainstream media ran with our work.
This is a station down at the South Pole.
Right. This is the German station down at Antarctica. It's actually in an area called Newmar.
Newmar, yeah.
Newmar Station. Newmar Station 3. Which is it's been having a lot of weird activity down there. One of my famous videos from last year, I don't know if you saw the one, but it actually had these 3 guys in these weird radiation suits. It happened actually on July 14th of last year. And actually my old co-host Vicky from 32 Degrees of Insanity on Freedomizer Radio, her and I were doing a Skype interview, like the Skype talk. Her and I were talking about back and forth, and I was sharing images of Newmar, and all of us eyes of these 3 radiation suits pointing up to the sky. And then all of a sudden, 2 frames later, you see this, it looked like a guy that was, I mean, he looked out of place. He was an older gentleman. He had, it looked like old expedition gear from like the 40s or 50s. And he's sitting there talking to these guys in the picture right in front of Newmar Station that are in these radiation suits. And then all of a sudden he goes up and you see like this map open, and the only light source is coming out of this map area. Now, interesting enough, in that area, I think it was in the 70s, time travel, there was like a porthole area they couldn't figure out, because when they sent up their weather balloon came back down and had a totally different date on it. Couldn't figure it out. And I believe that there is a portal or time, some sort of time loop in there. Something has to do with time travel here. I don't know what it is, but I think they keep pushing back the clock. And if they're doing that, well, that means they haven't gotten it right. So they're either we're pushing it back, consciousness is pushing it back, or somebody elite-wise is pushing it back. But what I saw down there at Newmar was completely out of sight. I've never seen anything like it. And just recently, a weird orb showed over Newmar Station. You probably saw the article I wrote on it. And it was over Newmar, and I was like, ooh, that Could that be a moon? It looked like it was in the inner atmosphere and I'm like, could that be a moon of Planet X? Could that be a double scout UFO? And it was like interesting. We posted it. We posted the images on my Facebook page. Within minutes, somebody had already made a video, posted it on YouTube. I came back with a video, posted it. Next day, MSNBC, ABC, all the mainstream, Yahoo, what's happening down in New Mars Station? 3 days later, my YouTube channel gets completely shut down.
Right. Right.
So that was literally my last video, and I think you and I were on the air during that week. I think. But that was the week of August. End of August. It was right around my birthday, August 21st. So a lot of weird things happening down at New Mars Station, and if anybody wants to go down and check that area out, all you have to do is type into your Google as an Apple, W as in Walter, I, webcam. It's AWI webcam, and that will bring you to the New Mars Station, and you can watch this live all you want. But here's an interesting thing. New Mars Station, if you actually plug that into Google Sky or any satellite footage, and you go directly to the coordinates where New Mars Station is, all you are going to see are posts. It looks like the dang thing is gone. From my understanding, the cubits or the measurements of New Mars Station are exactly the same as Noah's Ark. The cubits, as outlined in the Bible, is supposed to be exactly the same, from what I've heard. I don't know if that's fact or not, but this is what I've heard. And if you look at New Mars Station, and you look at it, and you kind of envision, you see it. This thing on stilts. So if there was any type of breakage in the ice, or anything that would, this thing, I bet you could float. And we also know that what's happening down, where have they put all of the DNA and all of the, for every species on Earth? It's down in Antarctica. Something to do with Antarctica. If this thing is coming into a pole shift, well, if my theory is correct and we're moving at this rate, that means if we're doing a pole shift, that Antarctica is going to go. And it's going to be, instead of being on the bottom, it's going to be right here. It's smack dab in the middle. If you we got lost there.
No, yeah, that's fine. So you're talking about the station down at
right. In Antarctica.
Yeah.
So, anyways, if you go to any satellite feed down here, all you're going to see, and if you go to Google Sky and you type in the precise coordinates to New Mars Station, you're not going to see a satellite image of New Mars. Yeah. You are going to see a video game look of New Mars Station. It's weird. And what are they hiding at New Mars? They're hiding something, and it's interesting that it's a German-based company. We all know what the Nazis talked about. I mean, they believed in the white Aryan race came from furthest star to the right of Orion's belt. Starts with an A. My brain is shot. Well, anyways, they believe that's where the dark sun's coming out of. If you look at any,
and the Third Reich also established a base at Antarctica.
Yeah, and Hitler, Hitler has been known, people said Hitler escaped to Antarctica. That's where he went after World War II. Bell technology. Talking about bell technology, there is a lot more to this than meets the eye, than this, the dual sun. There is a lot more to this, and that's what people, I think, need to understand, is if it's all about the matrix and the reality that you have in your own mind and what we create as co-creators of this world. And I believe we've been lied to. Even as researchers, we've been duped because we've been sent down these roads. Yeah, oh, this is great, information. We get sucked into it, kind of with the Zachariah Sitchin thing. Inside, put a completely different thought process, because I was basing a lot of my research on what Zachariah said.
Now let me ask you a question, and this is kind of a paradox. Here we have the information because our mutual colleague Andy Bashago, because he was a childhood participant in Project Pegasus, there was in 1971 a one-time chronovisor probe to the year 2013, which found the U.S. Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. under 100 feet of water. Under 100 feet of brackish water. And we know that the defense attaché to that project, who was also a member of then President Richard Nixon's cabinet, was Donald H. Rumsfeld. And we know that Rumsfeld's fellow cabinet member, who was National Security Advisor, U.S. National Security Advisor, was Henry Alfred Kissinger at that time, who has been identified as a key go-between to the financial bloodlines, City of London, headed up by the Rothschild family, the British Crown, what are known as the Illuminati, the people who really are at the apex of the triangle.
Right.
And so, starting around that time, there was an executive decision which Nixon could have taken, which has resulted in 194 that we know of deep underground military bases that have been built. In Europe, in North America, there's reportedly a maglev train that runs from North America to the tip of South America. I mean, they're just under there.
I was just talking about that train the other day. Actually, I was talking about there's supposedly one right here in Los Angeles that goes all the way to New York. It's underground railroad that's supposed to be operational right now.
Yeah. So, and apparently these 174 plus underground bases were built based on the intelligence of a global coastal event as picked up by the chronovisor probe and other intelligence that was due to the coming into the inner solar system. Some people say as close as 2.85 astronomical units from the sun. That's 3 times 65 million, but about 190 million miles, somewhere around Mars, a little bit. And with the mutual attraction, there's all these solar flares and solar storms toward us.
Sure.
So we have the hidey holes for the elite. All the governments, all the monarchs, all the financial bloodlines, the political and economic elite, the entire armed forces, all the technocratic elite of the scientists, all the medical personnel who bring you GMOs, all those characters are going underground. And yet we have this enormous deployment of planet-sized ET UFOs around the sun that look like they are putting in defenses into the sun. So it looks like there is a galactic governance that is not going along with the plans of the Illuminati New World Order. They're out to protect Homo sapiens which is
I read this interesting article.
Yeah.
It's called The Alien Interview. And it actually takes place during the Roswell incident. And basically, here's the summary of the interview. A nurse, I guess, that was dispatched to the crash at Roswell. When they found the dead extraterrestrials, the Greys, there was actually a cyborg or artificial intelligence being on her way, but it was a different die. And it spoke, I think, 75, 80 different languages, but the one thing it didn't speak was English. Whoa. So the nurse taught the cyborg, sat down and literally taught English, and they communicated this interview to each other. And it gave kind of all of the mysteries of the universe. Well, the United States government did not like that. They murdered this thing.
Huh.
Everything that we needed to know about the universe. And one of the things that was interesting is the alien had talked about two different forces out in our universe. There was one force was called, I think it was called the Lost Empire or something Empire, and then the good guys were called the Domains. And there's a struggle over these Galactic Federation. It's not an Andromedan Council. No, it's two struggles over two sides and for struggle over planet Earth. Who is going to be the protector of planet Earth? Well, the so-called Empire right now has control over planet Earth, basically making planet Earth what they call a prison planet, where our souls, when we die, and if anybody's done any research or spoken to John Lear before, John Lear, astronaut at NASA, has talked about a particular soul-catching station that is right outside of the moon, on the other side of the moon. That is where we go when our souls die. Our energy goes and is trapped by this, like a dream catcher almost. It is electrocuted and basically takes all of our memory of our past lives away, and we are recycled back to the planet as a new creature or a new life form. So it's a never-ending cycle, but we'll never know our true, because of this empire thing is holding on to the knowledge that we are divine beings. I think, as you just said, the war or whatever is happening is being spun into the Domain's favor, and now we are seeing the veil start to be lifted, and we, us, are pioneers in getting this message out. It might not happen during our lifetime. It might not happen, it could happen hundreds of years from now. But the information that we're putting out and the puzzles that we're putting together, we're laying the seeds to tell our children, so that, hey, there is something past this, and not to fear any of this, because that's the thing. There's too much fear-mongering going on. I mean, we've got a young child here. He's 12 years old. These are the future of our planet, and we need to be very aware of that. I mean, a lot of people are attack me saying, "Oh, I'm a fear-monger. I'm part of this whole 2012 doomsday thing," and we've had kids commit suicide and all this stuff. It's because of, one, the media. It's because of this the evil entity that's on this world. We've talked about the draconian reptilian invasion. Wilcox talked about. I'm not a big fan of David Wilcock, but he's talked about that. Last year when I was on Clyde Lewis's show, Ground Zero, same time I was on, we had all of these huge earthquakes underneath Washington D.C. These were supposed to be some nuclear explosions that took out all these reptilian bases. Well, we're taking them out piece by piece. And if we take them all out, now the veil is going to be slowly lifted. And interesting enough, I'm also seeing a change in political views It's almost like their zombieism is being lifted, and that they're starting to become free thinkers again. You know, I'm not a big advocate for Obama. I'm not a big advocate for any of them, but I do see a shift, like a paradigm shift, a little bit. And I think that's what we're seeing. It's like they've been so glued and controlled along that now that's being unlifted. Even though we still have the wars, we still have all of this that's happening, we have to also remember that we have an Earth here protected. We have a consciousness that needs to be protected, regardless if there's a brown dwarf or anything out there. We still have the troubles that we have right here and now. And if the brown dwarf comes, or a black star or dark star or whatever it is, or a planet, doesn't matter. I would welcome that change. And you and I have talked about that. You know, we've said, let's bring this in as a harmonious event. Let's take a step back. Let's relax. Let's know that this is in harmony with our universe. It is it's an intelligence. It is a being. You know, if we're going to fear it, it's going to fear us. You know, but if we bring it in with open arms, and say, hey, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I would dig looking up in the sky and seeing two suns. I think it'd be cool. It would show that the universe isn't everything that we were told it is. We've been lied to, but yet now the veil is being opened, and now we can start discussing, and we can plant that foundation for others, because what we've been doing for the last 100 years ain't working. Ain't working.
Right, and I think that the data show that
we need to really.
Yeah. The data show that between a third and a half of solar systems in this galaxy have binary stars.
Yes, it's I think it's a half actually.
Half, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 50%. So, you know, and here's another thing, and this is, you know, nobody really talks about this. All of the planets in our solar system right now have moons, pretty much. Have some, you know, some sort of satellite rotating around them. Their moons rotate. They orbit around, and you always can see either the front, back side. What makes our moon so different? Why do we only see one side of the moon? And I was thinking about it. I was thinking about light, and I was like, okay, where the moon is supposed to be satelliting is really high north in, you know, rotating around our Earth, if we rotate that way. So if you're in Antarctica, wouldn't it distort that light a little bit? I've never been to Antarctica, so I don't really know what it's like down there, but to me, it seems that there would be a distortion of light. And that the moon itself, because whenever we look at the moon in Antarctica, it seems to be huge. It seems absolutely huge. And whenever I look at it through different photographs and stuff like that, it's like, it doesn't make much sense to me on why that is, unless we have two moons. We have one going this way and one going this way, which would be end of the same exact moon. And if anybody's been following me for any time, they have seen pictures of where I actually was shooting at the moon, and there's a particular like blue moon behind it, and some say, oh, well, that's binoculars. You're getting that because you're putting two different lenses. I'm like, no, I see this with my own eyes. How can that be? I'm videotaping it, but I take the videotape away. I see this with my own eyes. And now, when I look at the moon, it's gone. It's disappeared. It's not there anymore.
Right.
And this was, we caught this all on film 5 months straight, and now it's gone. Where did it go? Why, if it was such a trick on the camera, then it would still be there. And same thing goes for all the lens flares everybody says it is, all this stuff. Well, okay, If it's a lens flare, why is it changing? Why does it look different? Why does it look like something's moving forward? You know, I challenge everybody to go out and Google a thing called double dark theory. Double dark theory really kind of tells you, and we talked about light and reflection before, what we observe as us three-dimensional beings, what we process through our eyes, through our corneas, we take for granted. But if you're looking at, you know, we're down to the molecular level of things, we're just a bunch of squiggly lines. We process and create this image. I'm looking at a laptop. I'm processing. This is what I see. You know, I look here on the screen. I see you, Alfred. You know, it's because this is what our brain processes. Well, maybe we can't see something that's there, and it's in another dimension, multi-dimension, interdimension, whatever, but it's still there. And that's why I say that this thing could be always been in harmony with us. There's no big deal, no big problem. It's going to come. It's going to maybe pass by. It might hang around. Who knows? I kind of like it to hang around. And maybe, just maybe, if this thing doesn't have artificial life on it, or it doesn't have life on it, well, maybe disclosure will happen. We'll learn more about time travel. We'll learn more about, you know, on how to use, because, you know, time travel kind of scares the living crap out of me, really, if you really want to know personal opinion on it, because it can be used in wicked ways. And I think if it is real, and of course we've talked about, you know, Bazago being part of that, and I remember mentioning to you on my radio show, asking, well, could it have also, because we talk about the looping, like the Star Trek, the artificial grid, you know, that it really wasn't Mars, it was actual artificial Mars. We've talked about that. But imagine if we can manipulate time, well, that could push this thing out as long as they want. If they have the technology to push this thing out, and we're all tied into that. So if a lot of people, if you really think about it, have you ever seen that movie Groundhog Day?
Right.
Could be the same exact principle.
Yeah. So now, let me just take that and ask you two questions. And the first question is, one of the latest buzz questions is about the comet that's supposed to be 15 times brighter than the moon.
And the sun,
one of our moons.
Or the moon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, than the moon. And that's coming in November of 2013. Mm-hmm. How is that going to interplay with the Planet X, Nibiru, Hercolubus? Is that going to be conflated or confused? How is that going to play?
Well, that is a good question. Is it really the comet? Is it a comet? Or is it what we're looking for?
I see.
You know, here's something that's going to be 15 times. Think about this. Remember when Hale-Bopp? I remember when Hale-Bopp flew overhead. And this thing followed me because I was driving to Florida, and it was just bright. And I remember calling my dad on the phone. I'm like, Dad, look up at the sky. Can you see this? And he's looking at it, and we're totally two different. And this thing was bright, just shooting overhead. Hale-Bopp back in the 90s. If this thing is going to be brighter than Hale-Bopp, I think maybe, just maybe, this is what we're looking for. And that's why I say we have this window, 2013, 2025, because if this thing is making it come through, and it's just in the right area, we're going to see it. Bright is all it can be. And remember what I said earlier, I thought that this thing might be a comet-style star, or a comet, you know, something that looks like a comet, because we're not in there looking at it. You know, we have no idea what it is. We're trusting what's being told to us or being fed to us. So we have to go with our intuition to think, okay, let's think outside the box. Could this be something other than what they're telling us? And that's what I believe. Could it be part of the system? I don't know. But it's definitely not what they're telling us.
Right. Now, second question. Could you, today's October 17th, 2012, could you run through for our viewing audience what you think or what you can envision the scenario or a scenario is? And I realize that it's a moving target for Hercolubus for this time period. I mean,
okay, I missed that. You broke up on me.
Sorry. Could you run through a scenario for Hercolubus?
Hercolubus, okay.
I had an experience today where I just posted an article in my Facebook group, and this one person who had just had some health issues really went into sort of a fear and panic attack.
Okay.
And so I think it's incumbent upon communicators and researchers in this area like yourself and myself to communicate the information in a way that's safe, that produces a concept not of false safety, but of true safety. Right. And I wondered if you could do that. Just communicate what you think the scenario is going to be.
Well, you know, it's interesting to say that because before I was taking the train down to Long Beach to be with my friends here, I met an individual on the train, and I told him what I did, and he's like, "Oh, you all this Planet X stuff. I've heard all about this stuff." He was kind of green to the whole thing. He says, "Yeah, it makes me kind of nervous." And I turned to him and I go, "What's your faith?" And I asked him, "Do you believe in a higher power? Or, what do you feel?" And he's a fellow follower of the Lord Jesus Christ, like I am. And I mean, my personal theory is, and I don't push this upon anybody. I have faith in the Lord. I really do. But that's mine. That's mine. And our own faith, and we're all part of the source. We're all part of the oneness. Mine just happens to be the Lord Jesus Christ. That just happens to be mine. But I don't think we really have anything to fear because I'm not feeling that. I feel that I'm pretty attuned to my spiritual awareness, and I'm not feeling any fear. I mean, I'm taking this day by. I moved down to Los Angeles. I'm starting with an entertainment company down here, doing it day by day, building new friendships, and starting a new life. People have asked me, "Why are you moving to Los Angeles? The worst place in the world, the most prophesized place in the world for somebody to move, for a researcher." Well, I did it to prove a point. Do not fear this, because I'll tell you, I'm going to be on my buddy Mark and I. You know what? If I have to get in if I have to wait, I'll be on it. I'll surf it out. But I'm not fearing this. I mean, it's just if it's in harmony, I believe the energy. If we, as communicators, as researchers, if we can communicate that, this is just part of the evolution of the universe. This is part of the change. Why fear it? They've instilled fear so long, and that's why I've been telling this all along. I mean, when I started the message, I said, there's two paths that you can go down. You got either the path of destruction or the path of love. You choose. I've gotten to the point I made my choice. I've made my choice. I'm going down the path of love. I'm going to live my life the way it is. I'm going to live it one day at a time. I'm not going to worry about what's out there. If it's you, I can't. But I'm not feeling that. I feel that we've got, I think the humanity itself is becoming so strong and so awake that we can really change this intelligent thing that's coming in, if it is coming in within our lifetime, or we can stop it altogether. And that would be cool. I mean, you know, either one would work for me. But I want to live, you know, I don't want to die anytime soon. I don't know about you, but I really don't want to die anytime soon. I want to enjoy it. But you know what? Searching the universe and understanding and learning the cosmic answers, what more can you ever ask for to learn about that? You know, that's what I want, because I don't believe in theology. I don't believe churches and all have taught us. I'll take all that and make it my own. And that's what I tell everybody to do, is to make it their own. Don't fear anything. Have a little faith in the source. Once you have a little faith in the source, then your life is going to change for the better. And I mean, I've let a lot of this attacks, all these attacks, really affect me. And making this move to Los Angeles was probably the best move I ever did. They weren't expecting this. The elites weren't. I don't think they were expecting me to get off my butt out of Reno and really go out and live my life, because that's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. The little things, this you know, having a YouTube channel, having a good radio show, and all that, that's great. And being able to be friends with you, but I know who my friends are. You know, you're my friend, Mark's my friend, we're all, you know, Laura, friend. I've built such a good network within that, you know what, if we're going to go up, we're going to but if we haven't done anything, and we've looked and we've opened minds, we had people write me emails all the time saying, Donny, if it wasn't for you, the people that I have met on Facebook or YouTube would have never met. You've opened my mind to look at things. Sometimes I don't agree with what you're saying. You're a little out there sometimes, Donny, but you know what? The basic essence of and even you and I disagree on things, you know. But you know what? That's where the collective is. That's, you know, if we didn't have a Donny Gilson, or if we didn't have an Alfred Webre, you know, some things might not have gotten done. You know, we needed us to help wake people up. And I'm not, you know, that's not a chip on my shoulder. That's just, that was our divine purpose. That was what God said. You know what? We're going to put you guys together. And that's why I've said to you, Alfred, that, you know, there is a reason why, you know, my last part of my message on the last interview that you asked me, what is the basic underlying message of what I'm trying to express? It's the same thing today. It's when I saw you up on that, I think it was at Mount Shasta, or no, it was at Mount Adams.
Right.
They're saying, this is about, if it was 2007 or 2008, you said, we are in line for a positive timeline.
Right.
And when you said that, the inflection in your voice, I was like, yep, he's right. He's completely right, 100% right. Now, a lot of people are going to go, why is there still war? Why is all that? You know what? It's going to go on for a while. You know what? It's something. But have you noticed we're not at the brink of World War III? They might make you think that, but it's not. Bring you into that energy, frequency. Don't allow yourself to be spun into that. Into that. They might say we're fear mongers, but the funny thing is if you ever listen to any your show, my show, any of them, we are trying to be as positive as we can, without creating fear, panic, or anything, but knowing that, you know what, there's a possibility of that, so be prepared. That's all. But we're not out selling disaster kits and all of this. You know, we've got the John Moores, we've got all these, you know, Drake, all these guys that are, you know, they just, you know, nothing has come to fruition. I'm always like, I don't know, you know. I felt I was right on the March 22nd thing of 2012, because what did we have? The 180-day cycle have told everybody about. We are right on the dot, because what happened at the end of September? Another 7-point earthquake in Chile happens on the 180. It was like 189 days. So we were off by a day. But I said, everybody, statistically, if you ever took statistics in the university, you know there was always a plus or minus within 3. You know that. And the trolls didn't like that. Oh, you didn't get the exact date, you know? No, it's not that. The 100 now watch. I guarantee you 188 days from now, plus or minus 3 days, we're going to have another major earthquake. So that means something is out there pulling on this planet. What is it? I don't know. Could be a dark star. Andy Lloyd, right? He talks about a dark star. There's several other people that have talked about a dark star. There's a nice Grateful Dead song called Dark Star. If there's a dark star out there, then we got something lurking. We don't know what it is. And it could be something to do with dark matter. I don't know. All I know is something's out there. We're being lied to about it, but the veil is slowly being lifted.
Thank you so much. This has been a great pleasure to really go through this tour de force of a program, Donny. And I hope that from time to time we can check in with you, and you can bring our Exopolitics TV audiences up to date on this.
Well, we've got a lot of big plans going in Truth Frequency Radio now to read. This is we're going to probably bring 33 Degrees of Insanity back on November 3rd. We're taking a month hiatus while I'm here in LA getting all situated. Of course, you and I, you're always welcome on my show anytime.
Thank you.
And we have such a great, you were just on Truth Frequency last Friday,
that's right,
which I made a little guest appearance on. But we also have a lot of things that we have to focus to here on Earth, and that is you heading up this being a part of this 9/11 tribunal.
That's right.
These are things. This is what I tell the audience. These are things we need to air out first before I think anything else is going to come, because we need to know what the truth is on this planet first before we can ever find out what the full disclosure and truth is out there. We're going to be lied to out there. That 9/11 thing is very, very important, especially with the footage of the UFO holographic footage that you have. Exactly. In regards to that, if there was extraterrestrial intelligence involved in 9/11, we got something major more that we need to look into.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I certainly want to thank you for taking time out to be with us.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to thank Mark and his young son for allowing me to be part of their home here and welcome me down here. They allowed me to broadcast live from their home, so I really, really, truly appreciate that.
Beautiful.
All right, Alfred, we'll talk soon. God bless.
Good enough.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.